You're right, everyone. Welcome back to another fantasy video. Basically we're just going to go run through what happened with my game week. We can talk about players who underperformed, players who did what I expected, really. So yeah, let's get into it. So first off, I scored an overall 58 points in the opening week. The average were 57, so I did one better than the average. But in my eyes, it still isn't as good as I was hoping. The highest is 100 and odd. I think it's 110. Might be wrong. I not checked properly. But yeah, judging overall, my team, my captain Salah getting me 24 points. Only got the one goal against Fulham. Because his captain, he gets double the points, so it's not too bad for an opening week for Salah, but it's Liverpool against Fulham. You would really expected more to happen with that one. Another good performing player with Cancelo with 7 points. City with a clean sheet, what I expected. Cancelo getting a clean sheet gets him a few points. Played a good game, gets him a few more points. So 7 points, sort of what I expect from the player of his capabilities. Haaland getting 2 goals as well, getting me 14 points. What I expected, expected him to get a goal or two, so I'm quite comfortable with that. The players who I think underperformed, Trent only got me the 1 point. I would have expected Liverpool to win form comfortably. I think most people would agree with me on that one. His fault for Mitrović's header, so only getting the 1 point is quite generous, really, but it's not what you want when you're paying the highest defender on game, 7.5 million, and he's only getting you a point. Not what you want. Perisic didn't really do out. I thought he might get an assist or two. Another disappointing one is Kane beating Southampton 4-1, and you're only managing not to get any goals, and you're managing 2 points. Not good enough. Jesus 2 points after pre-season. He's in 70% of people's teams. You would have expected him to get a goal or an assist. Didn't even get that. Got 2 points again. Overall, my team's just not played to the standards I were expecting. I think majority of players who played all scored points, but only it being 1 or 2 apart from the standout few players. Raya getting 2 points. Isn't too bad considering he got conceded 2 goals against Leicester. De Silva on my bench, who I've replaced instead of Oliver Skip, because Oliver Skip is injured. If you saw in the last video, he were in my team, but he's out injured, so I replaced him with De Silva. Scored on my bench, doesn't get me the points because he's on my bench. He scored, got 6 points. So that's a shame. I should have really swapped him for Pereira because he only got 2 points as well. Judging, looking on the lead, I think I'm 4th. I think it's Derek, Denver, me, Jacob and Steve. I think there might be one more person in the lead who I've missed out, but I'm either 4th or 3rd. So it's not overall, it's not too bad. There's not too much difference really. I think there's only about 12 or so points from me in top place, which is easy to catch up on this sort of game. Going into next week, I've not planned any changes. I think I'm going to see how the team does again next week, and then if it's underperforming again, I'm either going to swap Perisic out for a defender. I'd want to say Zinchenko, but I know a lot of people have him, and I don't want to be that guy who just puts people in because other people have him. I want to be doing better than other people. I want to be getting players who I think, he's a hidden gem. He'll get me points and I'll overtake. I don't want to be getting players other people have. So Perisic might go. Bailey from Villa might go. Didn't really do anything against Bournemouth. Saying that, the full Villa team against Bournemouth, in my opinion, were very poor. Getting beat 2-0, I think majority of fans can also didn't expect that to happen as well. I'm just going to try look at my team next week after they've played, because then I think I get 2 free transfers, because I have 1 at the minute, but I'm not going to use it yet because I trust my team and I'm going to trust the process for another week. And then if things aren't working out for some players, because I've got a lot of players who are new to Premier League as well, like Perisic, he's quite new, Haaland's new, Josh De Silva were out majority of last season he's come back and got a goal, so maybe I'll put him in. Pereira's come back in from United. He's gone to Fulham. He were on loan over season, so he's come back in Premier League, and I did expect him to maybe do something, but they're playing against Liverpool, and he's just a cheap overall midfielder to have, and because my tackies are quite pricey, I needed 4.5 million defenders, and I thought he was one of the better options. Maybe might look into keep Danny Ward instead of Raya, sell Raya, get another 4 million keeper in, because then I can put how do I word this? So if I put Danny Ward in there, I can get a cheaper keeper and I can get a better priced midfielder or an attacker. Probably not an attacker. I don't think my attack's really going to change too much for the first few weeks, because Haaland, I can see him probably getting a hat-trick or something against Bournemouth in the next game. Kane usually don't open too well, so maybe I might swap him in with someone else. Just going to give it a few weeks before I fully decide what I want to do, because it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So yeah, that's just basically my overall team. Hopefully I can get back into the up the lead more, because I'm in a few different leads and I'm not doing the best at the minute. I'm not doing bad. I do not think I've had a bad start whatsoever, but I need to look into hidden gems and think, who can I put in and progress higher up the lead? Because if you look at my squad now, I think it's a high contender for being one of the better squads in this league, in the fantasy I'm in. But then if you look at the other people's squads, they've just had a good week. I think I've got a better team personally. It might be me being a bit big-headed, but yeah. So yeah, that's basically my rundown for the first week of fantasy football. If you want to get involved with any of this, make sure to go over to Twitter and get in touch with Rovers Overseas. If you want to join up, getting into football videos, there's a lot of content on this channel. There's daily football videos, there's Rovers football videos, prediction videos, and all that. If you're a Rovers fan and you're interested in it, hit us up, because it's quite a good team to be a part of, and we all get on and have a good laugh, and it's good getting together and discussing what content we want to create. But yeah, make sure you like this video and subscribe if you're new around here. And yeah, that's been my weekly update for my team.
Back once again with another FPL video. I've gone a bit wild this week, and by that I mean I've used my wildcards. I've been a bit reactionary, I guess, but at the same time I felt like I needed to use it. I used my wildcard quite early last year too, a few games in, because you don't really know what you're getting, I guess, from some teams, some players. And I went double United last week. I went Sancho and Rashford, and I also saw how scarily good Haaland looked against West Ham, and I just thought I need to make some changes. So this is how I did last week. I got 67 points, what was a decent week. The average was 57, so I didn't do too bad. Made the right call captaining Salah. He obviously got an assist and a goal scored in that really tight 2-2 game, which Liverpool were probably lucky to come away with a draw in the end. But definitely made the right decision captaining him out of the team that I had. But I went wrong benching Zinchenko. After my last video, I did actually make a couple changes, brought Coutinho in, and I then put Coutinho in the team thinking he'd do well against a Bournemouth side who I predict will be going down this season. But Aston Villa just look shocking at the moment, and obviously Coutinho didn't do anything. Zinchenko then goes and gets an assist and a clean sheet against Palace, which was just gutting really, and also a 3-point bonus. So yeah, definitely made the wrong call there, and could have had, a few extra points. Probably would have been around 75 or so if he was in my team over a Coutinho. But yeah, annoying to say the least. But we move on to Gameweek 2, I guess, and this is the team I've gone for this week. I've gone with Edison between the sticks, Cancelo, Robertson, Zinchenko, Trippier and James. I decided to get rid of Trent. I felt his price was maybe a little too high, and I kind of wanted to get Haaland into my team, so I needed to get the prices of some players down a bit, and he was the casualty, I guess. Still got that Liverpool defender in there, but probably someone who isn't, going to chip in with as many assists as Trent will. But obviously Robertson still takes corners and obviously bombs down the wings, so I may swap back to Trent if I have a bit of spare money in the future, but for now I think Robertson will do a job. Each of those defenders should do well. It was only actually Liverpool out of my defence last week who didn't have a clean sheet. Newcastle, Chelsea, City and Arsenal all had clean sheets, what was good to see. I've then brought Martinelli in for Saka. Again, I needed to get the price down a little bit to get Haaland. So I've gone with Martinelli, who actually scored in the first game, so I don't think that's too bad of a replacement there. Then gone with Bowen. I think I didn't really fancy Bowen in the first game, just simply because they had Man City in that first game. But now West Ham have some quite kind fixtures: Notts Forest away, then Brighton at home, Villa away. And then they've got Spurs, and then the fixtures start to get a bit hard for 3 games there, where they have Spurs, Chelsea and Newcastle at home, but then they start to get a bit easy again. So, I mean, in the next 3 games against those opposition, I'd expect Bowen to get at least 1 or 2, and maybe chip in with an assist as well in those 3 level 2 games there. I've gone with Salah. Obviously, I couldn't get rid of Salah. I've then gone with Haaland to be my captain against Bournemouth. I predict Haaland to at least get, a couple goals in that game. I'd be shocked. Man City at home against Bournemouth. If City don't beat them at least 4-0, I would be very shocked. So I'm predicting Haaland to do well against their defence. He should rip them to shreds, really. And then I've decided to keep Jesus, even though he didn't get any points really in that first game. Only got the 2 for playing the minutes, but apparently he did look quite good. So hopefully it can kind of click for him in the league. I've then changed it up on my bench a little bit. I did actually have Iverson in, thinking he was going to be slotting in for Schmeichel's departure, but it was actually Ward. So I've decided to use my wild cards there and also swap Iverson for Ward. Another player, Iverson, who I actually brought in last minute last week. Once I heard about that Schmeichel news, kind of jigged around my team a little bit, got rid of Raya, brought Iverson in, and then brought in Coutinho as well. I've then weakened my bench a little bit because I felt like my bench was probably a bit too strong. I did have James Ward-Prowse, Edouard and Greenwood, but I've decided to weaken it a little bit at the expense of being able to bring in Haaland, who he just looked amazing, didn't he? In that first game, it was just scary. I didn't realise how much raw pace and acceleration he has, and it did scare me a little bit. And if he stays fit, and considering he's on pens, which is something I didn't consider, he could quite easily get 30 this season, I think. I've gone with Andreas De Silva, who actually scored the other day, and Greenwood I've kept in the bench there from Leeds. So all in all, I'm expecting a good week. Cancelo should get me a clean sheet, you would think, against Bournemouth at home. Liverpool with Robertson, Crystal Palace at home, you would hope for another clean sheet, but Crystal Palace did look good against Arsenal. Leicester at home for Arsenal, you never know, they could bag one, but should be a game they win, you would think. Brighton away for Newcastle won't be an easy game, but I would hope that they can maybe keep a clean sheet, or Trippier can at least bag or get an assist. Tottenham at home for Chelsea with Reece James, that's going to be a really tasty affair. He is someone, Reece James, that I would consider maybe benching, but my bench aren't really viable options this week, so I've decided to keep him in and hope that Chelsea's defence can remain resolute at the Bridge in their first home game of the season. Something which, Chelsea's defence always looks good, really. Martinelli at home to Leicester, again, he should bag, I think, or maybe get an assist. Leicester obviously haven't made any signings. They don't look too inspiring, really, but throwing away that 2-0 lead to Brentford was a really bad result in the end for them, especially considering they were at home. Notts Forest away for West Ham. Notts Forest obviously started really badly against Newcastle. Got smashed 2-0. But obviously this is going to be the first game at the City Ground in the Prem for God knows how long for Forest. So could be quite a tight affair, but hopefully Bowen can at least get one. And then Salah at home to Crystal Palace. I'd expect him to at least get a couple in that game. Haaland, like I mentioned, I'd expect to at least get a couple home at Bournemouth, and then Jesus hopefully can chip in as well. So yeah, that's my team for this week. In the league, I'm actually doing all right. I'm fifth in the not the head-to-head league, sorry, the classic league that we've got on Blackburn Roverseas. I'm fifth there. I'm some 12 points behind the leader, to be fair. What's a great result for James Blackshaw there, but I am in the head-to-head league that we've got for Blackburn Roverseas. I did actually win my first one, so I was quite happy with that. And I'm 17th in that league on the head-to-head, but I did win my head-to-head. So yeah, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll be back next week for Game Week 3.